poem, I think I'm right in saying that this is the first, it's a competition poem, and this is the first publication of the whole part that we're publishing. I don't know if another part's been published, but anyway, we have 2 sections, as I understand. Saradha received an Eric Gregory Award in 2004 and is currently writing a poetic inquiry into the depopulation of the Chagos archipelago using a mélange of political rhetoric, Creole, found poetry and song lyrics. She first learned how the Chagos Islanders were dying of chagrin, profound sadness, after seeing John Pilger's extraordinary 2002 film, Stealing the Nation, which will be screened at the Barbican Cinema on December the 2nd. We're delighted to be publishing her critical writing, Essaying the Essay, this is the title, Essaying the Essay, the Loneliness and Intimacy of a Long-Distance Poem, and the Pacure Nature Reserve winning competition poem, Their Homecoming is Not Yet Out of Reach, Not Yet Out of Sight. Please welcome Saradha.
Hello. I do hope you get to catch the film by John Pilger. It's a moving film that talks about the history of the Chagossians and their forced removal. I thought I'd just bring you up to speed and just read to start with a little paragraph from the essay, just to let you know what's happening with the Chagossians today. When I'm not standing with you, I'm standing with the Chagossians on the question of their right to return without restriction. On the table are the settlement options. The British government is currently seeking consultation with the Chagossian community, who vary in their opinions about returning to the Chagos archipelago. They do not speak with one voice, and their opponents have made much of this, adopting a divide and rule mentality. Particularly worrying is the breaking up of families, through not granting visas and restricting access to Diego Garcia and the islands. The UK Chagos Support Association, who are here tonight, are made up of non-Chagossians, and they believe that this is a potentially positive development and may lead to resettlement on the islands. The government, however, has said it has concerns about costs. The first resettlers would therefore most likely be provided with jobs, indentured labourers, basic accommodation, healthcare. The older Chagossians would only return to the islands if they were supported by their working-age children. In the initial 2-year period, school-age children may not be able to return. If you'd like to hear a bit more about what you can do to help support or just learn about the story of the Chagossians, do come and speak to Stefan and Anna from the UK Chagos Association Support Group. Okay. So this poem, it won the Pacure Nature Reserve competition, and the long poem are the first people to publish it, because it will be published online as part of the competition anthology, and I have read it before in public, and as mentioned, there are some song lyrics. Okay. Their homecoming is not yet out of reach, not yet out of sight. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child, a long way from home, a long way from home. The archipelago is not where one man lived, but is where they all remember living. Remembering is like that. Memory, a sliding door between adjoining rooms, old and young Chagos hearts cohabiting. What were the last things you remember? The man appears wide-eyed, only 4 or 5 years old. Every time he slides out a memory a child slips back and boards the boat. The man considers what the child knew then, the forced removal, the longing to return. The archipelago remembers him as a boy, and each generation is charged to remember the archipelago. The past is tidal in their minds, or shall I say in their souls, while the land waits to recover the older selves, tonton, tantine, grand-père, grand-mère. A dying community separated by unseen things, spirit from sea, hope from land, and yet united by wishful thinking, mouth by mouth, their communal truths told in one continuous breath. According to Emily Dickinson, the brain is deeper than the sea. Perhaps in her wisdom she might collect all the creolized islands, all the colonized outposts, from all the oceans and gather them like bits of paper, notelets safe in her apron pocket. Perhaps later that afternoon, in the privacy of her writing room, she might arrange the pieces like stars and form a constellation, a celestial force, far greater than any master or commander. Scattered across the Caribbean and the Americas, the tears on the map will be stitched with a steady hand. Perhaps Emily could mend the Chagos homemade scraps. Unpick the overstitching, balance the need for the mainland with the mainland's need for balance. Diego Garcia, a squiggle of Indian Ocean ink drawn with a shaky hand and ruled with an iron fist. It remains a leaky container for human rights and military might, extraordinary rendition flights, suspected torture, naval pollution, a yachter's dumping haven, the world's largest no-take marine protected area enclosing the mainland and its dependencies. Perros Bajos, Salomon, Egmont, its people denied the right of return. I will arise and go now, and go to Innisfree, and build a small cabin. Take comfort from Yeats's verse. Arise and go now, and go to Diego Garcia, and have some peace there, and build a homestead, not for one, but for all, with nature's blessing and insight. Confer with the coconut crabs on the rising sea levels. Listen to the last thoughts of the hawksbill turtle. Conservationists cannot save what people do not cherish. If in doubt, ask the Chagos brain coral, whose ancestral mindfulness created the atoll, collective thinking becoming land, propelling itself upwards, an understated presence, however shy, the low-lying terrain is more than able to express itself. Along the coastal reeds, a murmuring gathers strength. Short, thin mako, blue, oceanic white tips, shark replacements for the nuclear patrols safeguarding the open waters. All livelihoods rest on the responsibility to fish a reliable catch. Dog-tooth tuna, yellowfin, big eye, albacore, Indian mackerel making its comeback in a surge of peaceful protest, in the shallows and in the depths, in the streets and the high courts. Their homecoming is not yet out of sight, not yet out of reach.
Thank you very much, Saradha, for that beautifully read and very important work. We're very pleased to have that in our magazine. There were